Josh, the Dungeon Master and World Builder for our mostly 5th edition D&D campaign. With us tonight is Mary playing Almania, the now Raven Folk Sorcerer Bard, formerly just... Oh gosh, your guys' classes and multi-classes are just, they get longer. Formerly Dragonborn Just Bard. Jenny playing Talia and Karina, the half-elven cleric, multi-class wizard, and Karina's human. And the human trickster cleric rogue. Beth playing Shoji, the oh my god, she's the necromancer. Other Jenny playing, which one of you is Jenny Prime?
Ours, Jenny Prime.
And Jenny Prime playing, I've actually forgotten the character's name real quick, Galena. The Dragonborn monk, and not Vera, Grace playing Vera, the halfling crime grandmother. Rogue.
Or is it actually Vera playing Grace?
That's what I was going to say. Sometimes it's hard to tell. We're going to jump right back in to when we last left our heroes. And when we last left our heroes, things were really bad.
Yeah, they were fine.
Oh my god. They had returned after many months away to their home city of Onashur to find it on the verge of either being devoured or tearing itself apart. They're not sure which one's going to happen first, as the city starves to death and is being gradually encroached on by ghouls and all kinds of other creatures that have been flooding up from the sewers. Oh, also a cult. Oh, a cult that spreads a deadly plague that eventually turns you into a ghoul, and other groups that are trying to get rid of all magic casters, and so they put out eyes and cut off fingers and cut out tongues. It's great. The party had finally made contact with their former patron, hoping that from his position in the council district and as an authority in the city, that he might be able to assist them as they attempt to rescue their loved ones. And, you know, it turns out that he can do that, but only if the party agrees to either throw in with the red goddess, whom they've had some contact and they don't like her, or sign a separate contract that essentially requires them to take all of their family and friends and just leave. So, when we last left off, you guys had just left the Sanvelheim estate, and you guys were just kind of standing in the street. I'm not sure if you guys had a destination, a specific destination, but that's where we left. It is, I think, still fairly early morning, and the sun is up. It's a warm, humid summer morning. What are you guys doing? I think it's the whole party is there, and then also, let's see, Constantine, Atienne, and Gideon are still at the inn, whose name is awful, but I've forgotten it.
It's something amazing. Hang on.
It's something about a mattress.
It's the Shaggy Buttress.
The Shaggy Buttress.
You're welcome, John.
Thank
But
you.
it's just shag butt.
Yeah.
That's
it's
true.
been edited.
The sign has been vandalized, so now it just says shag butt. So those three are there, but with you, you have Damia,
Bryn.
Paladin dude.
No, Paladin's with Gideon.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Atienne is the paladin. I think Damia is the only NPC with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, my plans is to go back to talk to Gideon. So
Well, both of my PCs will trail along behind you.
yeah, and I might need to talk to one of those species as we walk.
Rin by this time has put her daggers back into her waistband.
So are we heading anywhere different, or just in general heading back to the camp and having conversations?
Heading back to the camp. At least I am.
All right. You guys head back through the early, balmy morning air.
We have 24 hours of truce, correct?
Yeah, you have 24 hours to tell Sanvelheim your decisions. And each of you, right? It's not like a group thing. It's any of you can take it. If you attack any of his people or try to disrupt any of his plans before then, he will take that as an answer. And if you do not return in 24 hours, he will take that as an answer as well.
Just so we're super crystal clear here. Is any attack during this truce period like a nullification for the entire group, or only for the individual that engaged in an attack?
You didn't really go into that much detail from your interactions with Sanvelheim.
Bryn is just curious, that's all.
The truce would probably be called off.
Okay.
But if any individual person wanted to then show up within that 24-hour period,
All right.
you would probably allow that.
Cool.
So as we walk in the direction of the inn, Vera will sidle up to Talia.
Let me
Find your access.
He doesn't have one, so that's helpful.
The same problem.
Mom?
Talia, did you know about this from the beginning when we arrived?
Can you be more specific?
Did you know he was a follower of the Red Goddess?
Yes.
Did you know what the Red Goddess is, what she stands for?
Of course.
And what is that?
Well, you heard him, didn't you? She brings life and goodness to those who have been spurned by society.
But you've seen another side.
Have I?
You saw what's happening in Worcestershire.
Well, you heard him there as well, right? He said that Destin is, I believe the words were, a terrible communicator and a bit of an ass.
What I did not see was communication. What I saw was action. Was sacrificing beings to bring back priestess. Sacrificing, what was it, 8, 10?
Well, there is an order to things, is there not? The law must be followed, and if the law calls for certain things to happen, then certain things must happen.
What happened to you?
I can't possibly understand what you mean.
Between when I saw you last and saw you again, what happened?
Well, we were on the ship. There were storms. It was terrible. I lost my spell book. Nearly died so many times. We were nearly suffocated by a mob when we finally did arrive within the city. And Sanvelheim gave me a place. And the lady gave me her ear and her direction.
Is this the same lady who was with you when you were a child in the moonlight? Does it feel the
The-
same?
The lady, the mother, if you will, has been with me always. As long as I can remember, I have served her.
You served someone, I think, once upon a time. But it's not the same anymore.
Of course not. Now I'm strong. I used to be weak. You
You
really
used to
don't
be-
get it, do you, Ma?
You used to be good.
Good. What is that?
I never knew, but I always thought you did. I was always sure that you knew. I can't tell you how sorry I am that I was wrong.
Well, but I don't understand what you mean exactly by good. There's a law, there's an order, there's a balance to be had in the world. There are the strong and there are the weak. What is good but strength? Surely there is
You-
no good to be found in weakness, in weeping, in sentimentality.
That's what I would say. That's not what you would say. You
Perhaps you are a better
upheld the
teacher
weak.
than you thought.
You upheld the weak. You sat with the suffering. And do you remember Garrett? He was in his weakness. You were kind to him. In his weakness, you loved him for it.
Garrett is much better off now. Now he has true power.
I don't think that's what he wanted. Well, as you are now, what do you think we should do?
Well, the choices are obvious. I mean, anyone with any intelligence at all knows which choice to take. Sanvelheim has offered you so much power, the ability to help those that you love. Why would you not do that? There's a choice here to be made, Ma. You can be on the side of the winners, or you can be on the side of the losers. Who do you really want to choose?
I know where I started from. And I started from nothing.
And why
Sometimes
would you turn it down when everything is offered to you?
sometimes I wish I'd never left. Everything got complicated after that. And I lost my way. And now you have too.
Perhaps I found it.
Well, if there's also one thing I've learned about losing one's way is I cannot make decisions for other people.
Never stopped you before.
I know. I'm working on it. You must make your own choice. I cannot change your mind.
I'd love to
You've
see
made
you
it. I'm not going to. You've made it.
I think it is best, perhaps, Ma, if you consider, well, consider carefully where you stand. And make your choice wisely.
Well, the truth is, I'm not going to make it because it isn't mine to make. Not for my family. That's it's up to them what they want to do.
You're going to let them choose their own path.
Yes. At long last.
Hmm.
And where they go, I will go. Because that's what's important.
And if they choose wisely, you will follow them.
If they choose as you wish them to, I will let them do it. There's no question of my letting them or allowing them. They will do it. But I will go. I have given my word to Almanya, and there are some things I cannot stay to watch. But it will be their choice. And I will make mine.
Well, then so you shall.
I'll just walk next to you in silence. Next few streets.
Anybody else doing anything as you walk?
Yeah, when Ma is done, I want to go up and walk next to Ma.
I want to be bringing up the rear and just scanning to make sure no one's following and have an alert out.
Give me a perception check real quick.
Oh, come on, Peter.
Rin is going to be talking with Domnia.
That's 14.
14. Okay. Nobody appears to be following you. There's a few people in small clusters going about their business. You can see the normal clusters of kind of makeshift guards and watch remnants kind of patrolling areas. Nobody takes too much notice of you guys. Damia has a hood over her horns, and Almanya, I assume you're still kind of bundled up from before.
Yep.
As Almanya comes up to me, I'll just sort of lean over and say, "Oh, Almanya, my dear, promise me it's you in there."
Oh yeah, it's just me. No, I use my wonderful mimicking powers and I'm going to mimic Sanvelheim's voice and say, "No, it's been me the whole time."
I'll just lean up and give you like a little back of the head smack like this.
Here you
I'm
bleed
glad
out
it's you.
and wake up over Almanya's body with bleeding death.
Yeah, I just started ruffling her. Nah, it's me. Sorry.
I knew it's you, and oh, my dear girl, never change.
I'm trying not to let the world change me. It's a little bit hard though. Don't know if you've noticed.
Well,
I think I've realized that people like me don't live very long in this world.
that's why people
Sorry,
like
that was-
me exist, Lovey.
Or the people like me live longer, or to kill off the people like me.
To keep the bad ones from the door, we'll say.
All right, fair enough. Ma, I just had a question. If your sons decide not to take deal A or deal B, fuck deal A, but what will you do? Will you go along with them, or will you join me on my quest still?
Well, if they do leave the city safely, we'll have to determine a direction in which to go. And I think I will go with them until I know that they have a direction and that I feel that they are safe, and then I'll go with you. But I've given you my word, and I'll keep it. And if they take what Tilia calls the wise deal and stay here, I will not stay with them.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if you would decide to stay. I know you hated leaving here in the first place.
In an odd way, it's the best thing that I ever did, I think. Not all change is bad.
It's just weird. Like I'm a bird now. Really weird change.
Purely external, as I am very pleased to see. But it sounds a little strange, but if you think that people like you don't last long, I'll do my level best to make sure you do.
Aw, thanks, Ma.
Why we left in the first place.
Yeah. You had to go and bring back the person who the world decided it was time to off.
Oh, the world, fate, whatever it is. Screw it.
I wonder what Oth knows about all of this. We should talk to Oth.
Should.
I want to know what he thinks. Hey, DM, I want to know what you think. What's going on?
I think Mary wants to talk to Oth more than Elmania wants to talk to Oth.
We all want to talk to Ah.
Yes, we love him. I assume he'll come with us, but I wonder what he knows about the Red Goddess and about everything that's going on, if he has any insights. I don't know if we've ever talked to him about that. We should ask.
It's a good question. And I wonder if I don't quite know where the marching order is here. If Tilia's hearing this, it's fine if she is.
I mean, you're basically right next to each other, and she's turned away talking to Damya, and you're turned away from her. But like, you guys are all.
No, Rin's talking to Damya.
I'm sorry, Rin is talking to Damya. My bad.
Two people, Josh. I'm two
I
people.
know.
And kind of three people.
Kind of three, actually.
Talia's just walking right there. Then
Fiddling with the copper wire like usual.
Talia,
Oh, do you want me to give you some privacy?
no. I just wanted to say that before we all make our decision and go our ways, talk to Damya. She's compare notes. You'll like her, I think.
Perhaps.
And you are always a curious soul.
Well, that never got punished.
Hey guys, Josh's world kind of depresses the fuck out of me right now. Can we
Yeah,
like our spirit
Totally does.
do something? Because like I'm miserable.
Yeah. Can we okay, speed.
Food
And we're
truck?
now at the inn.
Rin wanted to talk to Damia. Was there anything specific or just chatting and getting to know her?
The most thing, and we don't have to role play all this out if you don't want to, but the main thing is she just is wanting to get an idea of where Domnia is standing on the deal A, deal B, deal something else wagon.
Her essential response is, I will speak at the meeting.
Well, in that case, Ren is like, well, look, wherever you go, I'm happy to help you out because I really would like to talk to Callista again. So, what I'm trying to say is you have my daggers and my bow at your service should you want them.
Josh is trying really hard not to make a joke right now.
Oh, I did it on purpose.
Lighten the mood. I agree with Mary. We can lighten this mood.
But do I have your axe, Rin?
I don't have an axe. And fuck people who use axes.
I appreciate that, and as much as I would like to return to Matriarch Callista,
Oh,
And-
I
and
forgot
it
the
looks-
title. I'm sorry.
no, that wasn't a you dropped her title, show some respect. That was definitely her trying to get used to the term.
Okay, Rin still reacts the same way.
No, things have been quite strange. And last time I met Callista, she was a novice and a sub assistant to the matriarch, and now she's the matriarch. So it is.
You must go through leaders fairly quickly because she's but a little girl.
It's a long story, about 300 years old. And to get used to that. too.
Damn.
So I appreciate it. I expect it will be quite some time before we have the chance to.
Yeah, I think those are not American sirens.
It will be quite some time, but sure she will be glad to receive you.
I should start sending letters to Callista because we got to be bros. I should just send her letters, be like, "Hi, I miss you. Hope you're doing well."
The strong courier system still in existence.
Once I level up, like I've been working for a month, I'll be able to send her messages.
Yeah, you at any point you guys can just be like, yeah, we're taking our downtime to level.
I have been every downtime I've gotten.
I know. All right, you guys get to the inn. Constantine and Atia are there. They seem to. One of them seems to have been carrying a deck of cards, and they are just playing with that kind of at the bar. And then there's that closed off, curtained off section off in the corner where you guys left Gideon.
Yeah, I'll go straight in there and tell him the sitch and ask for his opinion. Because, of course, he can't come to the meeting, but I can at least pass on his information, his opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you're passing that on. Is anybody doing anything else?
Using my time to try and level up.
just kind of just furiously running up the board.
Okay.
That gift from
Yeah, for the Rotel Dorado. This is what I'm doing.
Alright.
Can Sho also use the time to just think by herself, but also level up? Maybe study the red harvest disease. And I think she has some claws that can inflict the disease. Actually, I hadn't thought about that.
What?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Are you talking about the metal claws that you got way up? No,
That's
that
different.
was from just kind of some
Dang it.
I think those are Asen Bosam claws.
Oh.
They're weird,
Okay.
and I think they can transmit a disease, but
Yeah.
Oh.
Iron
I
eating
assume,
thing.
I assume
Uh-huh.
you've cleaned them at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a save against that, but it was a different type of disease.
Dang it. I was thinking, like, if we could vaccinate ourselves, like build up an immunity, like inflict it and then immediately heal it or something when it's like still low level. I don't know, what does it take to heal it?
At
I've been through it.
Show as a necromancer, one who studies the threads of life, I would allow you to attempt, like I would allow
Do
you
it.
to have kind of that mental leap of to try and create a vaccine if you like.
Oh, do it.
If we
Not
can
like the
we
mad
can call
scientist.
we can call that your I mean kind of that's your work as you're leveling up. You're essentially trying to figure out like, hang on, if I could somehow like kill the virus and then infect myself, and yeah, no, that's
We're going to invent vaccines in Gebrecan.
I'm sorry, this is so close to home. I'm sorry.
No, it's awesome.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, no. My major question for you guys at character creation has always been like, how does your character want to like change the world? What do you want to bring in? If Shoji wants to invent a vaccine, awesome. That's fantastic.
It is.
Okay.
Before we move on, I would just say that once like Rin and Domni are done, Rin would then move to Galena to talk to her and figure out what's up with her. And Talia's probably standing over there watching what Shoji is doing with a considerable amount of interest. But I didn't want to interrupt anything anyone else was doing. So if somebody else is doing something, go for it.
Galena was going to bustle around and trying to make sure, because this is her like hideout. She wanted to make sure everyone is comfortable, play hostess. And then she was going to at some point want to go to slip away to meditate because she's a little bit disturbed by everything she's learning. And the meeting and everything, her worldview is shifting. But she doesn't, yeah, if someone interrupts her, she will not hide away. But if no one comes up, then she's just going to try and hide away to meditate.
Well, I would say as you're bustling about, Rin is right there at your elbow. So can I help you with anything? It's a lovely hideout you've got going on here.
Well, thank you. Not my first choice and not what I'm used to, but thank you. I'm glad it could be of service to everyone.
Yeah.
Would you mind there's a rain bucket right outside. Can we go check to make sure there's water in it and then maybe bring in a couple gourds full of water for people? I'm going to go check in the back room for some food.
Excellent. Absolutely. Happy to help.
Galena then vanishes for a good 30 to 60 minutes.
Is it something I said?
Constantine kind of lays down his hand and kind of swivels to all of you. So, what's the plan then?
I'm talking Gideon. Then I will determine that answer.
Okay. Looking at the rest of you though, as you are all furiously playing your instrument and studying the threads of life and death.
You want some water?
I mean, sure,
There you go.
but I mean, we can't take him back to the the camp and whatnot. And I'm being here for a couple hours, but I'd rather not be left here with the sick guy.
I'm going to stay with him if you would like to join everyone else back at.
All right, works for me.
I mean, kind of.
Jenny, you're gonna need to teach me Constantine's accent. So
I don't
Vera,
remember what it was. You're doing pretty good.
It's the drawl.
It's
Oh, yeah.
Vera, you're talking to Gideon. He is doing extremely poorly. His voice is barely audible from a few feet away.
Should I roll con?
Are you touching him?
Yeah, I'm gonna get up right there and hold his hand and talk to him.
Okay, then yeah, give me a con roll.
With
this-
advantage because I'm slightly immune.
Actually, hold on. You cleaned both of you off, so give me 1 second here. We'll just. Okay, yeah, give me a con save with advantage.
Hey. Nat 20. Shake it
Yeah.
off.
Okay. All right, so you're sitting there holding his hand, and you've told him the whole story.
And I've laid it out straight, like he's will cure you. Either option B or C. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, even the we all leave, he'll cure him.
Yeah, I think that was in both either plan.
And I will make that clear. So I will lay it out straight.
Sorry, Ma, but fuck that. Ma, I'm not going to be coerced into joining up with my enemy because they've got a dagger over me throat. It's not the way we operate.
So you're not going to give up the ground either. I mean, we could go, everyone, and I'm, as far as I can determine, for that, I can't think of an unpleasant enough term for him. Essentially, anybody we claim to is ours can go. So, the neighborhood.
Oh, that's for everyone else. That's really Benji's call. And if he goes, I'll go. Be no place left for me here. But if he decides to stay, there's nowhere else for me to go. So I'll stay and advise as best I can until I eventually kick it.
I knew you'd have the courage to say that.
I don't know if it can really be called courage as much as this is really painful and I want it to stop. But sure, I'll take courage.
But you've just been given the choice to take it away and live.
Yep, and like I said, Benji and the family is leaving. I'll take that deal. But otherwise, it sounds like I'm stuck with it.
And you're sure? Because
Yeah.
there's another scenario, which is if Benji decides to stay and resist and doesn't take either deal, I could take it for you and me.
Then Benji would be left without either one of us. Crumble in a week.
He's already told me to go. And I think no matter what happens, I will. That is what he wants. But well, I've always talked straight to you, and frankly, he's going to be without both of us. Regardless, if the chips fall where they do.
All right, well, tell me what Benji says. Then I'll decide.
I will. And I'm your mother. I want you alive. But not at a price you're not willing to pay.
Seems fair to me.
You know my my friend, the skinny one. She
Oh,
seems to be,
she's real.
yeah, and alive
Uh,
to the best of my knowledge.
I honestly thought she was here to take me.
Well,
I
almost exactly what I was going to say.
So you peeking around the curtain? I am.
But she's doing some sort. She's researching, as far as I can determine, the sickness. Would you be willing to talk to her about it? She's trying to treat it.
I mean, she's welcome to poke and prod all she wants. I can't tell her anything about it other than hurts like all hell.
All right. Well, I'll speak to your brother, and either I'll come and contact you, or I'll find a way to contact you. If you hear my voice or hear a friend of mine's voice in your head, it is me.
I'm hearing a lot of those, so it'd probably be better to do it in person, but
I'll do my best, my dear.
I'm gonna go to sleep. Yeah,
And
he goes as well.
Yeah, I'll wait with him till he does, then I'll go out and join the crew.
All
You
right.
gotta ask about the other voices in his head, Grace.
He's hilarious.
so many voices all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mad
Oh, I need
world.
to-
Are we heading back?
And Sho wants to stay because I would like
Yeah.
to leave somebody here.
Yeah.
To make sure
Yeah,
that he
Sho
doesn't
would. Sho, Sho would be okay with doing that, researching, trying to think about what she actually wants to do. She really doesn't know.
So Shoji's gonna miss out on kind of the council here. Does she want to tell people where she's leaning, or keep it to herself for now?
She's gonna keep it to herself.
All right, you guys head back. Anything?
Sorry, guys, just out of character here. Are we sure we really want to leave Shoji there by herself?
I mean, I'll follow her
Yeah.
around. I'm just looting really hard.
I mean, leaving her here essentially overnight, or at least for the few hours. For
Or do
this
we want to
council
come back here at nighttime and all stay here? Because it's still, what is it, midday still, Josh?
Yeah, no, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, because I think we've got time to like go and have this discussion and then come right back, as in just be
Okay.
gone for a few hours.
All right, as long as we're not leaving her overnight, I'm okay with that.
No, not
yeah.
the full 24 hours. Yeah.
Don't ever leave Beth unsupervised that long. That's all I can say.
Wise words.
Any character that Beth is playing, do not leave her alone.
I remember what happened when we left Nome for like 10 minutes in the Warrens underneath Bream.
And when we left Lyra.
You need to kill anyone.
The problem with that actually started in the throne room because she had tried on the crown
Oh, that's right.
and then she had gone
Too,
insane
yeah.
and fled into Warrens. Yes. It was good
Awesome.
times.
All I know is Beth was left unsupervised and it was not good.
And then we left Lyra unsupervised and
I think that's probably been the worst.
And Beth really does kind of have a track record of like, you shouldn't leave her alone.
Or you're just leaving Shoji behind and everybody else is going and then kind of planning to come right back at least?
Yeah.
All right. You guys head back to the Mayweather kind of stronghold, for lack of a better term. Damya kind of heads off straight for where is Off the only other NPC that's not
we
with
got
you?
the
Yeah, we have
Constantine.
You have who?
File.
Oh no, he left,
No.
right? He went to the
Oh,
Angels.
he left.
Fanogun
Oh, that's right.
and yeah, Fanogun already left, as did your other guy. So
So
yeah,
where's Atian? Is Atian still with
Atian-
us? Or?
yeah, Atia's with the group, or Atian. And eventually we'll just say that you guys kind of all assemble. It's all of you guys minus Shoji, Atian, Constantine, Oth, Damya, Benji, and a few of Benji's kind of right-hand guys are all kind of there in this, what's essentially the war room. And I assume you guys explain the terms of the contracts.
Before we assemble there, Talia will just very kindly and respectfully ask, Ma, do you wish me to be here, or would you rather I waited elsewhere?
You stay and say your piece. You are Sanvelheim's representative here. And you're needed in that capacity.
All right.
As you reveal that Sanvelheim like kind of has something to do with everything that's going on, Benji just kind of slams a fist on the table and goes, "I fucking knew it. You've been writing the noble houses for food and the medical supplies. We've never gotten a single person inside his, and after the first two disappeared, we stopped trying. Never figure out why it was that his security was so much better.
Yeah, it sounds about right at this point.
So what are your plans? I gather from that conversation there that Talia's taken contract 1.
Is this all right?
What about the rest of you?
Yeah, I'd rather put myself as far of a distance away from blood priestess, blood goddess, anything like that, honestly.
So you're going to take the second one?
Yes, I will.
And Elena, I know you're new, but it is extended to you, I assume, or you can be under the protection as one of our friends of Almania's deal to leave in peace. Is that your choice?
I wish not to be bound by anything in one way or another. And if this contract signing of the second option, if this means that I cannot go where I please and come back, I'm loath to sign it. But if it's the only way to maintain peace, I will not join what he has offered. I would prefer to leave without signing my name to anything. I'd be bound, not at all. But if he won't allow that, then I will leave.
You should not meet Bremen.
I've heard
Just
about green,
don't.
and it's not my cup of tea.
Just don't.
I say, Glenna, if you're ever looking for a traveling companion and Damnia doesn't take my daggers and my bow, you can have them.
That's very kind. You don't even
But
know
I
my
also-
mission.
I also don't like being stuck, you know. It's kind of best if you're a free agent, you know what I mean?
I understand. I mean, I have my own laws and what I'm bound to, and it's not
Yeah.
this man and his madness.
That's fair, but I don't understand why people have to bind themselves up with rules anyway.
Not external ones, I would say. There's a place for rule, there's a place for order, but it comes from within.
Oh, you
Not
mean
from
there's a
the
place for doing
signing
what you know you must?
Indeed.
I can get behind that.
I'm glad to meet a fellow spirit amongst you all.
Aye.
Well, I've got no loyalty outside my people. So if you think Sanvelheim's offer can be trusted,
Here's a question.
I'm willing to sign the neutrality one. Head north.
Well, you don't want to
said
go
it's
to the plains in the combine. I'm just throwing that out there. If you're looking for
The
new places to
combine-
go, you don't want to go that way.
Combine's on the other side of the continent. I said going north.
Well, but do you really want to go north?
Well, the only other option is south, and I don't really want to go to the hegemony. We've been smuggling out of there for quite some time, and I'm sure they have to get their hands on the family.
If that's your choice, we can talk about options, where to go.
Well,
The
here's the problem.
Borderlands.
Here's the problem with that option. our boys are good in Vielis, but we're gonna fold like clay against whatever lives out in the wilds.
If we go with Sanvelheim's offer of protection, then he has to protect us on our journey.
Well, he
That-
said
That
supplies.
wasn't part of the agreement.
In the
Yeah.
contract.
He said supplies, 6 months worth.
And
Okay.
10,000 gold, that's it.
Okay.
Now, if we can hire somebody, any mercenaries left in the city, or we can roust up any remaining verminosities and Death Watch, that'd be a start. But otherwise, we simply won't survive out there. It's 1,000 miles to the Northern Alliance.
There, oh wait, I can't say that. Never mind.
Careful.
Damia looks at Constantine. What is your decision? Well, I'm always up for a good fight, but aside from you all, I haven't really seen anybody who's up to it, and I don't really want to die for no reason. So if y'all are sticking around, I'm all over it. But if y'all are leaving, I'll reckon I'll head north as well. Yeah. I also ain't no supporter of them hegemony folk. Damia nods at off. Says, I will follow the eye herein wherever she goes. I would prefer that she avoid danger lest she die, and I be unable to meet the rest of her.
Aw, Oth wants to come with me.
And Damia kind of looks around at you all and says, so it's only Atian and I then.
Well, I mean, I haven't decided where I'll cast my lot yet either.
Then what is
But
your
I'll
decision?
probably I'll cast it with you. If you'll have me.
So you will remain.
For a time, I suppose.
Atian actually takes a step forward and says, we cannot stand against the forces that Sanvelheim has brought to bear. And she looks at Damia and says, we should leave. And there's a shock just kind of crosses Damia's face. You lost hope already? Look, Damia, we didn't even know about the lady until a few weeks ago. Before that, it was just, a crystal that helped out. If Serana V can do the same thing, then you make your own choice. Karina and I will stay. We will not abandon these people.
You have yourself a deal.
Are you all really so callous?
Can I ask, for those who are planning to stay, what will you do? What is your plan? Dami, I see it on your face. You're someone who wants to stay to fight.
If there's nothing else to do, then yes. And I had hoped to do it at your side. And yours, Fira and Elmania. You helped to clean the filth and evil that infested my home. I had intended to return the favor.
There's a matter of, as your companion has said, practicality. But I, for one, intend to come back someday. But I can't leave. This is, think of the choice, Damia. We could take, if we could find a way to protect them, we could take all these civilians, we could take so many people out with us. Is this, I don't know, odd little loophole in what Sanvelheim said?
What's the loophole? Take
That we can take who we choose.
Benji pipes up. Actually, anybody that we can reasonably call friends or dependents.
Yes. Think how many dependents we have and have had for 100 years.
I mean, that amounts to about 600 or so. Out of how many?
How many are left?
Well, before all this, population was, I don't know, 80, 90,000. At least a few thousand have been killed or gone missing in the last year or so. So, around 70,000 left. You would take 500 or 600 and leave the remaining tens of thousands to be killed, eaten, or transformed. Callista told me what it was like in Worcestershire. That some of you, at least, Almanya and Ma, you had, and Joji's not here, but you've seen it. You've seen what this city will become. You're still willing to leave without even trying.
I already died once defending this city, and my family isn't even here anymore. All of my college, the inn where I sang, everything is gone, and I died. So I've already tried. And I wish it were the same as when we were in the Temple of the Moon Maiden and we had an entire military to back us up. I really, really do. But I don't know what else to do at this point. I don't know what we would be able to accomplish. But I just keep thinking about how I watched my body fall. I watched everybody leave in an old house just before I had to run off and join the spirits. I already did that. I don't really know how not to do that this next time. I don't know what success like on that end.
So there's doubt, there's uncertainty, there's fear. Welcome back to life, Almanya. That's what it is. A month ago, I had almost 500 brothers and sisters. and they were infected with a madness and began slaughtering each other wholesale. Matriarch was nowhere to be found. Monsters formed from the limbs of my siblings poured out of the temple, and those of us who remained were hunted down and fed to hellish creatures that defy description. I hid for weeks with those closest to me, and in that time we prayed for rescue, desperate for someone, anyone to rescue us, and no help came. And a creature of nightmares tore my siblings apart, and the last thing that I remember was its eyes. And I woke up the next morning to find that 300 years had passed. That nobody even remembered us. The matriarch is a child half my age. My holy artifact is actually a tortured goddess beaten nearly to death by an upstart who seeks to spread blood and plague across the world. And my home, my refuge away from the pain and the horror of this world, is now a military camp. I came here looking for some remnant of my original family, but they're also gone. The demon whispers in my mind for the first time in decades. No family, no love, no hope. We're lost. I am not my demon, and its resurgent voice has only reminded me of my purpose. To bring redemption to anyone whose existence, like mine, is a sin, a weight and a groaning on the world, and to offer hope where it is lacking. I came here in despair till I remembered my purpose. This is not where I want to be, but it is where my lady has brought me, and I will stay while her purpose is yet to be fulfilled. I have begged for help when none was coming, and I will not stand by while others pray for help that I can give. So if you're too scared, or you're too uncertain, or you don't know what to do next, then take the deal and run. I'm staying.
I mean, I have a lute. My family is in the hegemony. And that is all I have. That's it. I can hardly lift a sword. I have a lute. I played a song and a tree fucking moved, and that's about it.
I have seen
I
you
can't even finish
incinerate creatures with fire from your voice. You think anybody outside this room can do that?
Maybe.
You think any of the families huddled in their homes with their children can do even that much? You can do something, Almania. I've seen you inspire people to do things that they should not have been able to do. How is that not your purpose? How is this not the place for you?
Because the last I just died, and there was the end of my purpose. And that was it.
You have been given the gift of a second life, and you're going to waste it hiding.
I don't know if I can finish my song before then. Because all I know is I was told that at some point I was going to have to sing it. But I haven't been enough places to know how to fix things with it. It's unfinished. It's a piece of a melody that that can only do so much. And do you think that I should go and try and finish it and solve the problem once and for all, or work with what I have and use an unfinished melody that I only know so well? Because I thought that I had to go and see everything, or as many things as I could, to finish what I had started. Because sometimes I think that that's the only way anything's going to get better, is that I have to finish this thing, that I have to bear the weight of everything, that I'm the only one who's has some kind of vision for how to at least fix things, and this is the only way I know how. But I can't even go places and finish it, because the last time I tried to do that, I died. And I couldn't even go. Like, I'm too terrified to even leave, because how do I even know that I'm going to be able to finish what I started in the first place? How do I know that I'm not just going to die again along the way, and that'll be it? And there we go. There's a half-finished melody on the ground that is never going to see the light of day. And that's it. That's all I have. That's all I am, is a sheet of paper.
She walks forward and kind of takes your hands in hers. All I heard you say, that you are alone. That's a lie. That is the most powerful lie that the demon tells us. That we are alone, that we are insufficient. But the demon lies, Almania. What would you sing about if not your friends? And what would you sing about if not the hope that you could kindle in this broken place? What could be more worthy of song?
I guess I always thought that I was going to have to sing and change the whole world. That I had to wait until I hit that moment when the whole world was waiting and watching. And I feel like here, nobody cares enough about it to be watching it. So how is the world going to know?
How is the world going to care if you refuse to show them how? You're stuck in a hole, Almania, waiting for someone else to bring a light, and not realizing that you have to be that light for someone else. Stay here with me.
Okay. I will stay here with you.
She moves her hands to the sides of your face. We will write songs together.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't had a songwriting companion in a very long time.
I know nothing about music that was supposed to be. I'm not good at this. I'm sorry. What about the rest of you?
Well, I have a question for you, Almania.
Yeah.
Is this Talia or Karina?
This is Talia.
If it's about my family's fucked anyway.
I've known you a very long time. And I used to have, well, I used to would have been rooting for you that entire time.
Ouch. But thanks.
But what do you think a song is going to do? If
You haven't seen it. You haven't heard it.
no, it's time to let the adults talk.
Oh, me? Oh, am I not an adult enough? Is that
No.
it?
What do you think a song is going to do? Did you not listen to Damnia? The only force in the world that is standing against Sorana V is a weak goddess who is being bullied into a corner? What good do you think song is going to do against such power?
And what good do you think books are going to do against such power?
Books. Books are nothing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Atian pipes up. That is what I'm saying as well.
See,
When
you
the best hope that we have is a bird with an instrument. How
Right?
can you think that this is any sort of a good idea?
Well, my song did push back a lich lord while I was in the afterlife, and it moved a tree from a temple with a goddess. So I don't know, Talia. You know,
and you expect us to take your word for going to the afterlife and pushing back a lich king with your song?
okay.
What is a tree compared to a goddess? Have you lost your senses?
All right, Talia. I used to think that we were like friends, but I guess that's like over now because, like, wow, that's a lot of bullshit. Thanks. You don't have to believe me and you don't have to trust me, but at some point, like I was telling Ma earlier, this world really likes to kill people like me, and I've already done it once, so you know what, fuck it, I might as well do it again at this point. But my family's fucked anyway in the hegemony and I can't do anything about it, and at this point, you know, there's very few options in my life, Talia, and it's either disappear without my family, and I came back here specifically for my family, so I guess we're not anymore. But I didn't die and come back to life to be told, oh, your song sucks. Like, what do you think that's gonna do? Yeah, fuck you. I don't care anymore. That's about where I'm at. And if this is the best I can do, then that's about what I'm going to do, because I can't lift a sword very well and I don't know much magic. And you know, you can have a great time in your I got to learn things out of books world. But I didn't really have a whole lot of luxury because I was always going to be crushed by the hegemony at some point. That's just been my entire life.
But so this seems to be dissolving.
Yeah.
Almania, I believe you and I believe in you. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Is that I will keep you alive. I will do my best. And I'm behind you because I've seen it and I believe you.
I know you want to leave, Ma. And
I don't. I want my boys and my family to leave, but I don't want to give a single inch of this ground.
do love your stubborn sense of pride.
But I can't make that decision for others.
And you don't have to. You don't have to make that decision for anyone but yourself.
But
I'll stay in.
Sanvelheim won't let them go unless I go with them. Unless I make the pact and say I won't fight against him.
The contract is offered to each of you individually.
I know, but offered to me, not to Benji.
No, it was extended to Benji and all of each of your NPC followers as well.
Okay, I was confused. I thought it was just like, no, it depends on, like, I have to sign the non-aggression to get anybody out
No.
here as one
no.
of Sanvelheim's former people. That puts a different
No.
complexion on things.
It would be different, right? So yeah, I mean, you would sign it, and that gets you and any of your family out. But Benji would also have to sign it in order to get any of the family out, because you're no longer, they are no longer your dependents. So
Cool. I didn't realize that the offer had been extended to Benji separately from me.
I see. Right, it was extended to essentially all named personnel at this point. We'll put it that way.
Then Benji, you decide. But I'll send you on your way, but this is my city.
Well, it seems to me like if there's a chance to hold it, it's my fucking city too. And I'd really rather not up and go somewhere else and try to establish in a different city if you think this one can be saved.
I didn't even say that I thought it could be, my love.
Yeah, but if you stay here without any support, then it's certainly doomed.
I don't know about that. You haven't heard my friend's song.
Right, well, it's not going to hurt, so I'll look around and see if we can find some mercenaries, but otherwise, there's really no chance of us surviving the wilderness. So if none of you are coming with, then I'll be staying here.
You do know, and he knows, that we've lost your brother, if that's the choice you and I make.
Gideon knows that. And frankly, we already knew we were losing him. So it doesn't really change it, nothing. And who knows if we can get into Sanvelheim's manor. He said he could lift the sickness, right?
Of course. All you have to do is take one of the contracts. It's that simple.
Thank you for that. Well, then he's got to have a cure there somewhere.
Good point.
So you've chosen death.
It's death or cowardice.
I don't think that your voice is welcome here any longer, Talia.
We've chosen hope, which is sometimes the same thing, yes.
I suggest that we send her and Atian, will you really not stay? And Atian looks around. Well, if you're all going to be stupid and remain, might as well help. Think that we should put Talia on her way before we discuss any plans? She can return to the master that she's chosen.
I can't tell you, Talia, my dear. Because I don't understand it. Saying goodbye to you the first time was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And saying it now is harder.
I thought you were wise, Ma. I thought you were clever.
So did I.
I thought, apparently, that you were much more clever than you actually are.
What a wonderful thing it is to realize, and to have time before one dies of old age to realize what a fool one has been. It's a joy, I assure you.
What do you hope to do? I mean, honestly, against him, what do you expect to accomplish? You'll all die.
Against him or against her?
She will happily kill you all. And you could have been such a waste. Such a waste.
Well, if we go as ourselves. I don't know what you are anymore.
Ma, I will tell you this, and this is the only time I will tell you this. I am what I have always been. The person you think of as Talia is someone entirely different.
Well, I'm sorry she's gone. I'm sorry she's dead.
She's not dead. Not yet.
Tell her I'm coming for her. Tell
You
her to
want her
hang
to hope?
on.
You want her to hope? And hope for what? A song?
Hope
A
for
book?
our best. And if it's a song or a book, tell her to hope.
A stolen symbol of a dead god?
Talia, not Talia, Atien looks at you, Talia. This seems to be getting nowhere. Perhaps you should deliver our answer to Sanvelheim.
Perhaps. I doubt he'll be pleased to see me.
In the awkward silence, Benji goes, "What? All right, well, nodding at the guards, lead her to the outskirts and make sure that she actually leaves. Don't let her touch anything. And the two guards kind of come over and stand right next to you, Talia. Okay. And they walk you out.
Talia
No.
walks out.
We have to rescue her from the mind control at a later time.
At a later time. Galena, Damia does look at you. You still intend to leave?
I sit here and I hear Almania talking of loneliness and no family. I see people dying. A mother looking after her children, and there is so much grief. So much hardness in this world I did not expect. I have one mission in mind that I was sent out to be allowed to do, but at this point, if I can't stay and help bring a bit of home back to you who are missing this, then there's no point in me going. And in staying, I am bound by nothing but my own conscience. So if you will fight, I will fight for the downtrodden. I will fight for those who have been conquered. I will stay.
Thank you.
I knew I liked you.
Then, to address Almania's fears, perhaps we should make a plan.
I clearly need to keep writing. I need to go write more songs. And
Bob
all left.
goes, this is a bad idea, but I herein is staying. I will.
Off. I appreciate you more and more every single day. I just want you to know that.
Constantine says, well, I didn't think I would ever say this sentence, but I agree with the slime.
That can go on a t-shirt too.
I agree with
Slime.
I didn't think I'd ever say this, and on the back, I agree with
I agree with the slime. Can it be like a little cowboy hat to symbolize his accent too? It's like
Yes.
hanging up the front. Well, I didn't ever think I'd say this, but on the back, I agree with the slime with a giant slime.
there is truth in slime.
There's truth in slime.
Okay.
Well, Almania, I do want to say that, she was really rude, but I heard your song and it's very pretty.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know a lot about music, but maybe if it can fix the world, it might. I don't know how those things work, but
I mean, in some ways, I also don't know, but I appreciate that you thought it was pretty. That actually really does build up my confidence right now.
well, I mean, the tree did like it.
The tree did like it, and I feel like if the
mean-
tree liked it, then therefore there's something there. The
Mm.
tree liked it. Clearly, there's purpose in my life.
It's sort of embarrassing to admit it, but for a bit I thought the tree might be my god. And then when it turned out the tree was liking your music and not my talking, maybe it's not my god so much and maybe it's yours instead. I don't know.
You know, if all of this works, maybe we can go find your god, and maybe it will be a tree, and it'll be great.
Well, I like
Len is
that
looking
idea.
very confused.
Perhaps, though it was a very special tree, Almania, we should turn to planning.
Yeah.
Benji. I'm sorry, do you have a title that I could use? Benji's fun, I guess. Most of my boys call me boss. I'll stick with Benji.
I'm gonna
mentioned-
call you boss.
All right then. I understand that assaults, major assaults, usually come on the red moon. This was the same as the reports from Worcestershire. When is the next one? Well, we haven't really nailed it down, but we expect another one in the next week or so. I regretfully don't have any astronomers on staff.
Well, but what about Oth? Oth, do you know when the next red moon would be?
I have spent most of my time deep underground. The sky is new and exciting, frankly, slightly terrifying. But in answer to your actual question, no, know little about it.
I mean, we put Oth on it. He'll get it figured out in no time. He's a very smart fellow.
I believe that is flattery, but if there are numbers involved, I will try.
My dear Oth, it's only flattery if the person saying it doesn't mean it, and I do. You're very smart, Slime.
Definition modified. Thank you. Where are the numbers and when do I get them? Benji says, right. Calls out the door. Get Grady. Grady will talk to you about, I'm sorry, Oth. Yeah, right. Grady will talk to you about the numbers. Right. So Honor had to defend sort of this small part of the city, but it sounds like Damia, you're looking for some sort of offensive. Well, no offense to you and yours, but defense. The time for defense seems to be over. It is not improving the situation. So yes, I am open to ideas. Frankly, I'm a farmer. I don't know how to do any of this.
Well, it was an overstep on my part, and I look at Benji. But it does seem that the more numbers that we have on our side will at least reduce the danger around us and also give us an opportunity to attack those nearest to us. Have you heard anything back from the brass?
Breath is willing to meet. The angels are sticking to their own shit. I don't know what they're up to, but they wouldn't even listen.
Well, there's always an opportunity, depending on who in particular they intend to target, to simply say, oh, send them a message saying, on this particular day, we might be in this particular place, and your enemies might be weaker for it. They don't actually have to be officially involved with us, if that makes sense.
All right.
Any of me, of my enemy is my friend.
It's my favorite kind of open invitation, right?
Declare open season on the cult territory, etc. And the other gangs might become involved.
All right. Now, how do we make sure that they're not going to betray us to Sanvelheim?
That is an
I mean,
interesting question.
If we tell them, hey, we're doing this at this time, go up if you want. How do we know they're not just going to tell the enemy where we're going to be?
Mhm. Well, I don't mean specific. To the enemy, except I suppose the day. By the way, who is this Marianne? Actually doing offensives now,
Okay.
which is something we
Just
haven't
let 'em-
done.
Okay. Just let them know the offensive is on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Not saying like all of our troops are going to be in this place at exactly this time,
Right. Okay.
but
Got
more
it.
like, hey, we're invading this territory now.
Right. What about targets? Like I
Kitchen
said, my
overgrown.
boys are good for VLEs, but not so much on open assaults.
Well, it seems to me, doesn't the cult, who now we know is Sanvelheim's people, are they mostly in the Slacks still, or does their territory overlap with another neighborhood?
Well, the ghouls kicked us out of the sewers pretty early on, so we assume they have access pretty much anywhere in the city.
Mhm.
But beyond that, I don't know the details beyond our own territory.
That's an interesting question right there, because whoever owns the sewers owns the transportation. If we're talking about a smaller goal. What do we know about what's in the sewers?
Not much. I suppose we could potentially raid the Verminosity headquarters to check their records. They were on the front line when the critters started flooding out of from beneath the city, and they got overwhelmed pretty quick. But we might be able to find some information there. All we know is any selection of the sewers that you want to pick belongs to the monsters or the ghouls.
Hmm.
I don't know why my Bremen accent is trying to creep in.
I suppose the question is, well, go for the weakest ones first. And at least in our experience, it depends on the type of ghoul. If you're going to invade a ghoul's territory, they seem to come in different species or different ranks or orders. Some more manageable than others.
Yeah, we've run into the same thing.
Has
But
anybody done a study or made more observations about their command structure, if there's such a thing?
and how would you suggest doing that?
I suppose that there are a great number of people in this city who have been having contact with the ghouls, especially on a red moon. You have a lot of eyes, I suppose, if they were willing to say what they've seen.
I mean, if we could contact them, and if we could trust them, and if they could trust us, but anyone I send outside our territory is running the risk of being taken. And I don't trust anyone outside these walls, so there's no safe houses, there's no one to talk to that we can't guarantee will try and capture or kill my agents.
I'm wondering if that is something that we could do. We are unaffiliated, I suppose.
That would certainly help if you want to establish contacts outside our territory.
Because the only people we've spoken to, Almania's old classmates, let's simply say they have no love for Sanvelheim. At least
And
what
you
they
think they-
expressed.
And you think they can be trusted?
Don't know, Almania knows them best. But frankly, we're going to have to start trusting perhaps ones we wouldn't have done otherwise. Otherwise, we have no one but ourselves. And as you've said, there are 70,000 more people in this city.
What about Sanvelheim himself? All we know about the command structure is that apparently he's at or near the top of it.
You're suggesting going for the head of the snake?
Worked in the past. I'm suggesting we strike at what we can see. Right now, that's either Sanvelheim, Marianne, or there's a couple of hubs of activity for the cult that we could at least investigate.
And who is this Marianne?
I've no bloody clue. Some lady who lives in little north of us. She showed up a few months ago, and all our agents in the area disappeared.
And do we know species? What is she, or has no one been in contact?
She's human, I think.
Curious. I agree. Question is, do we go for something smaller and then go for Sanvelheim himself? Because I can assure you, having cased the joint, that because I very deliberately did that.
I think on multiple occasions.
Yeah, definitely more than one.
Yeah, but I did it this time around, so I know his guard patrols is that would be a difficult one.
I mean, I'd suggest one of those three. Otherwise, I mean, if you want to go mucking about in the sewers, looking for strong ghouls to kill, I mean, as long as you don't die, that wouldn't hurt.
I'm intrigued by this idea of looking into the Verminosita's notes, because they might at least have had some sense of information about the state of the city before the destruction, which is more updated information than we have.
All right, we can plan on that. Is that it? I mean, we've got 7 days. Oh, Galena, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay.
You're right, I'd forgotten about the time limit here. What I'm curious about, and perhaps you others can weigh in, what sort of control does Sanvelheim seem to have? I mean, he's under the control of the goddess, but what sort of grip does he have over his people? What sort of, I mean, over the guards, over everyone? Is he just a man, or is there something else going on?
Is he just bribing them?
Because it's an interesting question. That why do they follow him? He clearly provides the security, he provides all of that, but his power is in the people who trust him. Or is it something magical? Is it something more? Does he have the powers of the goddess with him? Clearly, he says he has the power to lift a disease. Question is that a magic or is that a cure,
No.
something physical? Because it worries me if we go after Sanvelheim and find that he's somewhat more than a man. And if the trust that his people hold in him can be broken first, he'd be easier to get at, if that is his only power.
If you can find anybody left from the Death Watch, you might be able to. I've only heard a couple of stories, but someone hit the Death Watch headquarters and ripped it to shreds. And from what I heard, it was just one guy.
That's interesting. Because it does seem to me that if Sanvelheim and the goddess and all of this can certainly make us hate him, it has to have made someone else hate him, something that he's done. So the Death Watch.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find any living. But
We can ask.
keep an eye out for them.
But it does seem as long as Sanvelheim controls the resources, he'll have support.
Yeah, I mean, if we can convince anyone that he's really behind it, then I don't see why we couldn't gain some more support that way. But he's been a counselor here for going on 2 years, and his influence has run deep.
It's a curious question. Are all of his clients and all the people that he was directly affiliated with in peacetime, so to speak, are they already in his compound?
I mean, they're spread all over the place. These the wagons that occasionally come out to spread food around. They've got his sign on it, and the guards for those wagons wear his symbol as well. He makes sure it's known that he's responsible for feeding people.
And he's responsible for killing them with a deadly disease.
Well, he doesn't spread that about, but
Yes, but that is an intriguing thought that if the truth were known, his situation might be a little bit different.
well, you'd have to convince people. I'm not sure how you do that while he's feeding them.
Convince
What
them
about
or
the
give
rest-
them proof.
What about the rest of your friends here? You've all been fairly quiet.
Well, I think there are a number of interesting angles to explore. Those who control the resources generally can keep their knee on the neck of the people. At least that's what I saw at home. But it's interesting to me, Vera, that you're talking about what sort of hold he has over people. And I think that perhaps some of you might be able to have the best sort of insight into that. After all, he seems to have a hold of one of your friends.
Well, the hold that he offers her, I think, is... I don't understand it, to be honest. It wasn't her. I can't explain
Right.
it.
Wait, you don't think that was actually her?
I don't know if I'm speaking metaphorically, but what she was saying, the beliefs that she held were not Talia's. And I know Talia has had a fear of losing her own will before.
I told you, not I, but Gideon told you when you first started to arrive that the enemy was using faces.
Taking the faces of others.
Or using them somehow, yeah. If you'll remember the sending, I think that you sent Gideon on your way when you guys were docking.
Right.
His response was careful. They are, yeah, they're wearing faces or something like that. Find that.
All I know is that whether or not that was her body being controlled or someone else's wearing her face, that was not her.
Well, I mean, is she capable of being two people? Like, that's the sort of skills I have, but it didn't strike me as that type.
Or the skill of my friend here, and I pointed at Vanya, who is also two people. So all I know is that in my limited experience of magic, having two minds in one body is a quite possible thing. And also taking control of the will of a body against that person's will is possible.
Well, but I mean, it's easy to do, at least for a while. And Rin snaps her fingers, and Talia is standing right there in front of you. I mean, I can keep this up for an hour or so. Can't do much about the voice. I'd have to work with that. But
Yes, there are many potential options as to what was going on there. But I'm wondering if it wasn't something more sophisticated, something more nefarious, shall we say, than an illusion. The fact that whoever that was spoke of Talia as separate implies that she's somewhere. And that was not her. So, what experience have you had with these people wearing faces, said Benji?
Agent goes missing, then shows up in camp, and seems a little confused. But they seem to know when we're bringing a trap on them. They always slip out of it. Haven't been able to grab one, and we don't see that person again.
So is there some sort of security measures and asking a question only that person would know? Some sort of way to verify identities?
They have some way of figuring out the call signs. Doesn't matter how often we change them.
It implies perhaps when the face is taken, so to speak, they might have access to the surface memory of the person.
I don't know how magic works, but that's the best Grady's been able to guess.
Right. Well, that adds a layer of complication, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a little. All right, so we've got on the table Verminosity's headquarters. See if we can find some information about the sewers. Going out and establishing contact and trying to figure out, share some information with the other districts. Your friend Karina suggested something about disrupting the supplies.
Well, if it could be put about that our Lord was in something of a funk and refused to feed the people, that could work. We used to use those sorts of tactics where I come from.
And how would you go about doing that?
Maybe we steal the supplies instead while they're on the caravan and fill the bags with stones or something. I haven't thought it through yet. It was more of a idea. I don't know exactly what the lay of the land here is. I haven't had enough time to figure all that out yet, but
Well, this is more of a brainstorming session, so I'll take any ideas you have. Go ahead, Jenny.
But it seems to me, any sort of lying or dishonesty, if you were to be found disrupting the food and anyone sees it, it's going to turn against us. I think go for the head. Don't try subterfuge of that kind.
yeah, but the problem is that when you try to take down the one at the top, they're usually the ones that have got the most help staying there. You can?
Oh, I say that we should break down his support structure, but hurting the people and not giving them supplies is not the
Oh,
way.
no, we'd give them supplies, but they'd come from the Mayweathers and not from Sanvelheim. A good way of switching people's loyalties.
I'll think
Sanvelheim gives them a bag of dirt. Benji here gives them a bag of bread. Who are they going to like better the next morning?
And what happens when a layperson sees that we have somehow interfered with Lord Sanvelheim's good wishes?
Well, I can be an anonymous person.
can't
and
believe it.
ask.
I'm all for helping people, but not dishonesty.
Well, we could always hit the food while it's still in storage and before they transport it, so we're not seen.
That's why you're the brains, boss.
That's the point.
Actually, on the brains, because my mother left the city and my elder brother is about to die, but sure.
I whispered to Oth, that was flattery.
I don't think it achieved its intended effect.
Another thought, perhaps, Galena, that would make you feel better, and I'm inclined to this as well, is again that idea of letting people know the truth about him and letting them know that he has vast supplies that he is not sharing with them, that he is doling them out to keep his power, doling out small amounts to keep his power.
What he keeps behind is in grotesque amounts.
If there's any way, perhaps if we do want to hit the food supplies while it is in storage, to gather evidence or to gather something that can be shown how much there is and how little our Lord, so to speak, has been sharing it.
No, I think that is an excellent idea.
Sorry, I missed all of that. I had to write a bridge for the song that I'm apparently going to have to, perform at some point.
You're going to have to finish to save the universe.
Yes, I had to write a bridge to finish it.
So the current ideas on the table are investigate the verminocitors and see if you can find any left, or at least figure out their records to understand what happened underneath the city, with I think the intention to then use that information to possibly reclaim sections of the sewers and get mobility. establish contacts with people in the other districts, whoever's running those, and see if you can get some cooperation going. Either hit caravans of food, replace the food with something worthless, then distribute the food as if it came from you guys, while everybody else thinks the nobles are pissing on them by sending them bags of dirt and rocks. There was talk of infiltrating and disguises, but if the enemy has mind reading abilities, that seems dangerous. And that's what's on the table so far.
Also coming up with finding hard evidence that can actually be shown to others of what Sanvelheim is actually doing.
I find it interesting that Sanvelheim has magic. I did not know when we first met him that he had some kind of magic.
Well, the question is, does he? We don't even know that.
Well, he did disperse my song when I was starting to play it.
Oh.
His fingers and made it stop.
He did not so much, like, he didn't prevent you from singing.
That's what he made it sound like. When I started, you said he snaps his fingers and the magic that you were starting to kind of create and come to your fingers disperses. That was what you initially said.
The song, like the sound of what you were singing, like died it like sound fades, right? It faded unnaturally quickly. As if it couldn't really reach more than a few feet away from you. But there was no magical interaction because you weren't casting a spell.
Okay.
So your magic
he was doing some kind of magic and he snapped his fingers and it stopped. Like that was what it sounded like in that moment. I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't know that he could counter spell a song, but all right, I'll take that in stride.
Yeah, if that's probably closer to what happened. You were not casting anything actually magical.
Yes, yeah.
And so whatever he did just countered the sound that you were making.
Okay.
So he might have some magical abilities.
Yeah. We don't know.
Right.
But it felt like it in that moment.
Yeah. Again, I almost really, really want somebody inside that compound, obviously. And now it's this question of, sorry, I could say that Vera's saying this. I'm not saying it in my accent. But that were all of those people that we met there, all of our old friends, real? Was that even really them?
Oh, like the families?
Yeah, and like Coron people. I mean, because if they were real, then we have at least people we know who are in there and who are decent people and wouldn't be putting up with this.
I mean, we did kind of question them. If they were illusions, what would they know?
Yeah, like we had whole conversations with them. We hung out with them. Did we?
Yeah, I talked to Talia's sister about the stuff that she was doing with my brother, which Talia would not have known about, like in specifics, because my brother trained her sister for a while. So Talia wouldn't have known all of the details of that. But now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hung out and had long conversations with them, and nothing seemed to be off.
Right. So yeah, if they've been body snatched, this is an entirely different problem. But if they haven't,
I would just point out of character that Talia's the one that arranged for your brother and her sister to get together to do training stuff.
Right, but like after, like almost immediately after that, Talia left, and so I assumed that like she wouldn't know all of the specifics of everything that they had done together. That's what I was thinking.
Sure.
But I mean, I could also be making assumptions. That's also true.
so I'm wondering if we can try and contact them or one of them. I mean, We have to find some way to get through the impermeable wall that is the Sanvelheim compound, whether that is sending a message to somebody in there who we know and can maybe trust, or getting another person in there just to spy.
Well, there is a slight problem that's been bothering me a bit, is that I've only given my name out here, except for inside this room with you people, as Ren, and yet Sanvelheim called me by my other name. So I was going to
dear.
suggest that I could perhaps try to go and take one of his deals as Corina, you know, but he seems to have caught on to that somehow, and I'm not exactly sure how.
Oh, that is-
I don't recall saying my true name in front of your friend, but perhaps it was missed.
True. Again, it's frustrating not knowing what he can do, because if he can read minds and if he can do powerful magic, these are things that we need to know before we try and kill him.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because I saw Josh's cat knock something off of the shelf behind him.
True cat style.
She knocked something off.
Or she jumped up and fell or something. I don't know.
I think she just jumped down.
Her.
We can try to contact like Talia's mom or one of her little siblings or something like that, or Cora's mom.
Or Cora herself, who was supposed to be there, who wasn't there, strangely, when we were there.
Doing Cora stuff with her.
Yes.
Cora was great.
Yes. Or even even Cormier's rando friend.
Yes, Cormier. Oh my gosh, we can chat with Cormier's rando friends. He was great.
He seems a mercenary type. He might be amenable to a deal of some kind. The problem is we don't really have anything to offer.
We have 11,000 gold pieces.
That's true.
A
We have
lot.
money. We have
We
a
do have that. But also,
you know from your old college friends that food is worth much more at the moment.
than money, exactly. So we don't have anything to offer that Sanvelheim can't offer more, except for decency and appealing to someone's better nature.
I have a day of rations, so I have some food.
Now, none of this really alleviates the problems that we're having here. So until we can remove some pressure from our territory, until we do that, we're a little bit limited in our movements.
True.
And
So
what was this on whatever her name was? Marianne, was that it?
If we could figure out what's going on with Marianne and see if she's part of the cult or working with Sanvelheim, and either remove her or get her on our side, that would give us direct access to the wall, which would allow some easier transport around the northern side of the city.
Vera, what about the tower? We brought a ton of food to the tower the last time we were here. Remember?
Isn't that in Worcestershire? Am I confused?
No. No, the guard tower.
Your first official task for Sanvelheim.
Oh,
Remember?
the watchtower.
Tower.
Dang, that was a long time ago.
No, but they've been supplying them with food.
That's true. I wonder if they're even still staffed, the watchtowers.
Yeah, you guys took them, I think, half a year's food.
Yeah.
Or I think 12 people.
And there were only like 6 left when we left.
Right.
A lot of them
Yeah.
died.
So somebody could have also restocked them at some point. But they had supplies and food.
Interesting. And we also haven't talked about, we have the pillar.
Yeah. I've been carrying it around.
You also
We
have
have-
the pillar.
Which is intriguing, to say the least.
That's a word for it.
Because the pillar implies that we have access to other parts of the continent.
If I remember correctly, though, it wasn't like very far away.
Oh, it was. There was like the little guy with the stick.
Yeah, but that was
the
like
coast.
just above the sea. That was like in the
fish
cliff above the
and-
sea.
He was so
What-
cute.
But was
Yeah,
he was so cute.
I
He's
don't
not
think
the inland sea.
any.
No,
I don't think any of those places gave you enough of a viewpoint to know kind of where on the continent you were, except for the cave that Talia ended up in.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Guy.
She recognized
I-
the mountains, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you heard the sounds of the city like around the coast.
Yeah.
Could I tell mine? Because I was rummaging around, like I was digging up through snow, and I can't remember if I got to the top and if I saw anything or if it was just more snow.
I also don't remember if you got to the top and saw anything.
Because I got a bunch of
don't think
magical
so.
items while I was there.
Yeah, you crawled around in some tunnels a little bit,
Yeah, and then I
think
hit
never
a
got
bunch
to
of
the top.
ice.
but I don't think you ever got out.
Okay.
Because you were basically at this point where it's like there's a bunch of snow and ice up this way, and there's a bunch of dark tunnels down there, and there's this river that runs through. And I'm gonna not risk any of those things alone.
Yeah.
time to roll the dice and see where I end up.
But it does offer something else to explore, as in that's access to somewhere outside of the city where you can go for supplies, where you can forage, etc., and bring something else that is outside back in. Like even things like wood are extremely valuable right now. Going out and getting stuff like that.
I'm interested in figuring out what's going on with Marianne. Because that's a sizable chunk of territory. And if we can find a way to talk to her, in a non-hostile way.
Non-violent way, agree.
I'm happy to sing a song for her, whatever. Then I think that, like, in my mind, that's probably like the best place to start, because who knows how many people are with her, but we could have like a whole miniature resistance on our hands, which would be pretty sweet.
Yes, which is Vera's kind of dream, if possible.
So you guys have, we got a lot of ideas on the table, and you guys have 7 to 9 days. What do you want to hit first?
I think Marianne should be first, but sorry, go ahead, Jenny.
I was just gonna say, depending on what time it is, I think we need to consider not leaving Shoji on her own much longer.
Yeah,
Yes, it has been a few hours.
okay, agreed.
So Karina would interrupt at some point and say, aren't we missing a friend?
Yeah. And I need to go back and tell Gideon what's going on anyway.
Okay, so step one is recollect Shoji.
Yes.
Yes.
I think past that, though, I think Marianne is a good place to start, because that
Yeah.
probably
That's
take us-
immediate.
yeah, it's a good immediate, like, and if we can get her support with whatever people she has, then we can kind of build up those ranks, and then we can kind of go on from there, I think.
Or
But I
at
think
least determine if she is an enemy at least.
determine if she's an enemy. Maybe
And
she's
I
a ghoul.
I would say that while the oppressed people tend to care more about where their next meal is coming from than how much gold's in their pockets, the oppressing type are often more amenable to the shiny stuff. So
can
perhaps
certainly
we
take the
could
shinies.
bribe this Marianne person onto our side a little bit.
Also true.
Or simply figure out what she wants.
The journey goes without incident. So you guys are all kind of, you're back at the shaggy buttress, and that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so Shoji, you the party kind of comes back in minus Talia, And
And she's holding up 2 bones and making them dance.
And Gideon is dead. Wait, no, he's reanimated.
No, please, God.
Oh, I'm him.
He's fine now.
But we will explain to Shoji the decision that was made amongst the group. So we are all staying and saying screw you to Sanvelheim.
Wow, I'm really surprised. You think you can beat him?
We hope we can beat him. I'm not entirely certain it's the same thing.
And you're willing to pay with your life to find out?
Yes.
Wow, I missed a lot. I really missed a lot. I was expecting everyone to settle on the second offer and travel away from the city. Wow.
If you still want to do that show, you can still do that. We're obviously not going to make that decision for you.
Well, I don't think I would survive very long by myself. Kind of a lot for me to take in. So you let Talia go back to him. That's really surprising. Now he has warning.
Well, he knows. We had to tell him eventually what our decision was going to be, so he knows our decision.
Well, couldn't we use the opportunity to meet with him tomorrow and surprise attack?
That's
I mean,
intriguing.
you're going to die anyways.
Unfortunately,
we're gonna win.
it does seem like the only one who can do that is you.
You changed your mind. If they had changed your minds, you considered what Talia had to say and decided she was smarter than you gave her credit for, and all that sort of bullshit, which people generally seem to love.
You could be
Talk to
honest and
Shoji.
say that. Oh yeah, hey.
We talked to you and you convinced us.
Yeah, that your plan is death. Because I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay, side note, I have to say that I had a dream the other day that we were all making new characters.
Totally prescient dream.
You can't just up and say things like that.
I had to know, and I was like, oh no, I hope it's not a premonition that we're all gonna die. Wow, wait, do you?
Constantine interrupts you a little bit there, and as you say, you think we're all going to die, and says, "Yeah, probably, but apparently the bird's going to write a song about us, so seems a fair trade."
So we'll live on in an epic glory. Not even that if she dies too.
If we all die, our song will live on with the heroes of a thousand journeys and in the afterlife. And it's okay. I'll sing it while we defeat more Lich Kings while we're standing with the false king. It'll be great. We'll have a great time. It'll be fine.
But
Y'all didn't tell me that the bird lady was insane too.
I did, back on the ship, and no one would fucking listen to me.
It's fine. It's fine. I know nobody. It's okay. But it's okay, Constantine. I'll write about you.
Now that you mention it, yeah, between all of the screams and the hydras and the ogres, and I vaguely remember that.
Okay, just even if I'm insane, I can write a pretty damn good song.
Show, you do bring up an intriguing idea that Sanvelheim is not Riemann, and we can break our word to him when we want.
If anything, like either we strike now or we live to fight another day. Perhaps we take his second offer and gain an experience and power, and when we won't die with certainty, come back and take care of it. I really am surprised with the boldness of everyone to agree to this madness. Well, you think we can beat him?
No,
But the city will die whether we leave or stay.
Well, if we leave, we might have a chance.
The city's not going to last that long.
You
And
mean the
we-
people?
yes. And we saw Worcestershire.
Oh, that's true. I'm going to be honest. I have half a mind to join his side because I don't want to die. Simple as that. But if we are going to take a stand against him, Vera, I'm also surprised. Your son, he will surely die. Are you okay with that?
No, but he is.
Is he? I guess so. Okay. Well, how about the idea then that we surprise attack? Is that an option, or is that just another way for us to die quicker?
This is intriguing. Although now that I'm thinking about it and that you're on the fence, I realize that what you've been doing today is something incredible that we may need very much. If you could fix this illness, that would remove a weapon from the enemy incredibly.
Very long term. Are we all committed to staying here for that long? Like with no guarantees that we'll actually eventually wear down his forces enough to even be a threat to him.
I can only speak for myself and my own choices. I'm in it for the long haul.
I'm I'm curious about what you said about Talia. You said she wasn't herself.
Yes, and now I'm wondering how how much was her? There apparently this ability of Sanvelheim's people, of the enemy, to take faces and take the place of someone.
Oh, frightening indeed. Hey, do you think this control is exerted over all of his household, all of his guard?
I don't know. It would certainly make our sneak attack even more suicidal. But
At
it
the
is an
same,
intriguing idea. If he were dead, the spell might be lifted.
yes, that's what I was thinking. And aside from the months of shedding otherwise innocent blood, which I'm surprised that I would even mention. Wow, you guys, this group is so intriguing. Why I should be looking out for myself. I'm even this madness, this plan. What is going on? Okay.
Well, we appreciate you becoming crazy because you've been hanging around with us. That does seem to happen to people who hang around with us. Like, look at Ma.
Now, for operational security, I feel compelled to say, Shoji, would you mind committing right now? Otherwise, leaving. I'm not terribly comfortable going along with this when one of our somebody I may have to depend for my life on is, for lack of a better term, waffling.
Well, that's a legitimate word. I enjoy that. I think a wise option, especially with Talia, would have been to not have let her return at all and give warning. I'm gonna need some time to think about it. I can say that I would not attack this group. If anything, I think I would probably take the second option and just not do anything one way or another. I'm going to need some time to think about this. If you'll excuse me.
Fair. Before you go, Sho, and I'm sorry that I don't think I've ever asked you this before, but what is it that you want, I suppose?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I want to know the secrets of life and death. I want to create outside the limitations that we think we have. There's a world that is totally unacknowledged. And only recently have I been able to even begin to unlock its mysteries.
Y'all are hearing this, right?
Rena's like moonwalking out the door.
Isn't this almost exactly what Sanvelheim was saying?
Yeah, I think that is almost exactly what Sanvelheim was saying.
If y'all reported his words right, it was an overlooked section of, things that exist and creating something new and doing all that through the red goddess.
Right.
Well, therein is the caveat. The question is, Sho, do you want to do those things with the red goddess?
There is my issue. I don't want it to be another's power. I want it to be mine. And as much as Sanvelheim might say, oh, it's all of yours, I think it would always be reliant on service to another. And I've always been about service to myself. Just
But
letting you all know.
hold up here. Are you saying that you can do that stuff? Like
Without her.
without her? Because that's either A, very fucked up, or B, like the best resource that we might have.
Or both.
Yeah.
This does not also mean that it is not totally weird, but that's fine. We'll talk about that.
I'm with the lady here. This is kind of making my stomach feel weird, but I also haven't eaten since this morning, so I could just be.
Well, here, and I reach over and grab some bacon out of Vera's pocket.
I totally forgot about that. I didn't write that down.
Thank you kindly. It's cold, but it's bacon.
I do think, let's be honest here, but up and incredibly useful.
But now, I don't have a lot of experience with whatever you do, but I thought that was kind of her thing, you know.
Veronavi's thing.
And you do it without her? Are you sure about that?
I could demonstrate if you like.
No,
Constantine, turn around.
The last thing that you ever want to hear from a necromancer.
I can show you.
Turn it around. Constantine turns around. Damia goes, I'll wait outside.
It's just the power. Is there
Yes.
such a thing as a inherently wrong power?
I don't bloody know.
Or is it simply how you use it? If she uses this, admittedly, she hasn't shown us, but when she does, I'm assuming it's a little messed up. But if she uses it for good,
All right. Well, here we go. Let me demonstrate. And please keep an open mind. Please don't be afraid. They're completely under my control. And I'd like to get
Lena immediately goes into defensive
Yeah.
posture with her quarterstaff.
Insight check.
Go ahead and roll insight. What are you looking for?
Are they really under her control? Can she really do that?
Gotcha. Yeah, go ahead and give an insight check. Shoji, are you using spontaneous unburial?
let's see. Spontaneous and burial. Do I have two different options here? I think there's also animate
do.
dead.
So you also have animate dead, but animate dead requires a body.
Oh, okay, yes, spontaneous unburial.
Okay. Two
16.
skeletons, two zombies, one skeleton, one zombie.
I'll do skeletons to spare everyone the more gruesome form of a zombie.
Beth, now that you're doing this out in the open in front of everyone, what does it look like when you cast this spell?
Oh, ooh. Okay.
Shoji's like, freedom!
we're having a moment of honesty amongst everyone.
Queen is desperately looking around for a Freeman.
50 episodes in, we're being honest with each other. By the way, this is episode 50, everybody.
Yeah.
No.
We're halfway to 100.
And in episode 50, we all finally, I don't know, stuck to our gun on something. Go for it, Shoji.
What does it look like, Shoji?
All right. Again, I want it to be like a gathering darkness, and maybe like what's that movie? Anastasia, where the guy
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
You're
I don't
dressed picnic.
yeah. like from the darkness, maybe from like the floor, it like rises up. You know, like video game style, like rises up from the ground as if going out of the grave, and it's like all dark and magical.
The Rasputin kind of feel. Yeah, I feel
I
that.
love it.
Yeah.
Awesome villain song.
I just got the rest of you. I'm going through my head.
It is as if light is just kind of repelled from Shoji, and any shadow that comes across her just kind of stays. Oh my god. Oh my
That's from the
god.
chat. I can't take
No,
credit
that's
for
the
that.
chat.
That's,
Oh my
that's
god.
Phantom of Truth. Yeah.
What are they saying?
My undead bring all the boys to the yard. Damn right, shambling better than yours.
Thank you, chat. We love you.
Love you
That-
so much.
That is incredible.
Wow.
I appreciate that deeply. Whoever wrote that, you have my maddest respect.
That whoever posted that has inspiration.
That's Phantom of Truth, and you heard it here, sir.
Inspiration.
All right. Right. So shadows lending levity to the moment when somebody is summoning the undead. Shadows cling to her, and the tendrils of darkness flow out of the floor, and then they just kind of pool there a little bit, and then nothing happens. Then nothing happens. And then you ever so faintly hear like a scratching and a thumping. And just kind of instinctively, you all take a step back from the darkness, and underneath the wooden floorboards of the inn, you just hear like impacts, and the boards start to bend and break, and then just this bony fist just smashes through the floorboards and sends splinters flying. And within a few moments, two skeletons have just kind of pulled their way out and are just standing there. Rotten, broken, like algae and moss covered bones, just hollow sockets, not a scrap of flesh anywhere. And they just kind of stand there creaking.
And how did you do that?
Are they alive? Where are their? Do they have souls?
I don't think so. Not entirely sure. It feels really instinctual and so good. So, Shoji, I would just like to take a moment and just like go over each one. Like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I've never had the time or the opportunity to actually appreciate. They're magnificent.
I'm gonna be outside with
Is it over? Can I turn around?
No, Constantine, you really shouldn't.
Corinne just like
Cool.
runs past him and retches out into the bar.
You have any more bacon?
I just start like with his hand is like this. I'll just start.
All right.
Might I instruct them to care for your son to show my control? As you know, they are dead. It might be a little disconcerting, but they won't catch the sickness. They can be of use.
Maybe it's because I died, but this doesn't actually bother me all that much.
It doesn't bother me either. It just seems incredibly useful.
It does. Listen. We've been dealing with ghouls, and ghouls are way worse in my mind than some skeletons that have been long dead. I know that sounds terrible, but look, we've seen a lot of shit. At some point, this is kind of the least fucked up thing we've seen. If I'm being honest, we've had a lot of really horrendous things. Okay? So, like, we watched Goose get eaten by a spider. At some point, I'm like, great, there are skeletons. Fantastic. Show, this is actually wildly useful.
Any knife in a fight.
I'm curious what Galena's reaction is.
Oh, she's standing there with her staff, like in complete defensive posture, and just like eyeing Shoji and eyeing skeletons. She's not running. She's not puking. She's just very on edge.
But Sho, I've been trying to understand almost from the moment I met all of you that magic comes from somewhere and it's different for different people. And some people are clearly getting this sort of power from the blood goddess, but you're not. Where is it coming? I mean, Cora had a being giving it to her. Where is it coming from?
It's okay, Rin. I know there's no shame in this. Damia's out there just kind of holding your hair back and
She's our emotional support NPC.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Actually, question for the DM. Do I actually know where the power would be coming from?
Not really. I mean, you have studied to the point where you can actually see, if you concentrate, like the threads of life that bind souls in bodies and animate them. And so when you concentrate enough, then you can actually just kind of see those.
So cool.
And you can determine, right? It's up to you what they look like to you.
Oh.
But you've never really talked. You're not a wizard, so it's not kind of the mathematical understanding of the fundamental forces at work. It is, as you said, instinctual.
Okay. Something to that effect.
So, what? This is incredible. We are about to fight an army of the undead, and you can see the links between death and undeath.
If I
So if you,
concentrate,
I have to tell you, if you go to his side, we're all dead.
well, I can't very well leave you all now. You're so accepting. I mean, if you knew the reaction I originally received, you would know that that is no small thing to me. I've made my decision. Live or die, I will stand with you. Down my lovely bone.
Hug you around your little tiny skinny waist.
Uh,
I'm very small too.
and you're not sure if it's my hand or the skeleton's hand.
Okay. I experienced worse things. It's okay.
Shoji can comfort multiple people at a time.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna be my son's nurses.
Yes, yes.
There,
Anyone.
says the bony hand on your shoulder.
There.
As the Manu said, this is not the weirdest thing that we've experienced.
We've seen some fucked up stuff.
And Shoji, there is no duration on this ability either.
Oh, nice.
So they
Nice.
can be nurses.
So until you cast it again, they will.
Nice.
Really cool. That's really cool.
Elena wants to walk up and like, poke one of them in the chest with her staff just to see what they do.
There's a clack of wood on stone, and it rocks back a few inches, and then comes back.
So, would you mind terribly if they are going to perhaps stay here with my son? Do you mind if I clean them up a little?
Oh, but of course.
That would make them less.
I'll even help. I want to examine them a little bit more intimately.
I just start
We're
picking up.
not
I'm
cute,
just gonna
Jen,
shine them
Yuki.
up and
She's
start
not.
picking up the algae. I'll dress them up.
Just
I'll give them each like something little like shirt to wear.
so much fun.
I'm thinking of it like Vera is trying to do that mental thing where like it's just like automatons. They're just like robots. They just happen to be skeletons.
I'll get prestidigitation over and over again and help clean all of those
Yeah,
folks.
just clean them up,
So
shine them up.
what exactly are you dressing them in?
I still have two little dresses from what's his face's tower.
Great.
So yeah, so it'll go down to like their little like mid thigh because their ankle length for me.
I could let them be my personal coat hangers and the extra clothes that I took from Sanvelheim.
Okay. Before too long, between the efforts of Shoji, Almanya, and Vera, there are two extremely disturbing skeletons with dresses that go like just down to their thigh, that are very nice. They just look weird on skeletons. I don't even know how to describe this scene. I'm gonna leave it up to y'all's imagination.
Someone needs to draw a picture of this, please.
And we're just gonna move on.
I mean, you could make this really pretty. I mean, like, you could make this sort of Day of the Dead and decorate them and whatever.
Ooh,
It could be really pretty.
All right.
it can be nice. Hey, just a question really quick. So the duration, if I cast it again, does that mean they go away and are replaced by whatever I cast?
Yes.
Again? Oh, okay. I can like build up an army of undead. Yeah, someday.
Okay. So you have dressed skeletal guards for Gideon.
Flash nurses.
Yeah, the purpose is to care for him.
So I do need to know, Shoji, what instructions do you give them? And the verbal, you do not need verbal instructions, so they will you can give them the intent of what you want them to do.
Okay. I want them to do no harm to anyone here, to protect Gideon, and to obey orders or directions, simple directions. Things like clean the sheets or get water or something like that. Yeah, are they capable of that?
So you're not going to be able to tell a skeleton, go find water.
Oh, okay.
You can tell a skeleton, go get the bucket outside the door and bring it in and then put it back.
Oh, okay.
You can't really tell them clean the sheets, but you can tell them take the sheet outside and whip it around a bunch.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can give them specific actions, but they have no intellect.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll share that, and
They can just be
perhaps with your
guards.
help. Oh, I was gonna say we can go through the mechanics of caring for her son and
Okay.
getting him comfortable, and then
How we
letting
can,
them guard.
Yeah, change
Give me-
the sheets, etc.
Give me a spell casting ability check. Just it's a D20 plus your charisma modifier plus 3.
Oh, okay. Plus charisma modifier. Charisma is a +4, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
14. Okay. You're not going to be able to get through all that much, but you can get them to every 2 hours, empty the chamber pot. A couple of very simple things. They cannot change bandages or anything like that, but you can get them to do some. Okay.
All right.
Constantine pipes up. Now, Talia knows about this place,
She does.
and as soon as she delivers her message to Sanvelheim, I believe the truce is over. And I understand it. He wants Gideon pretty bad.
We better get out of here. Huh.
Yes, we'll have to make another safe house somewhere.
Well, can't we rejoin the camp? I know your son is infected, but if we took proper precaution, maybe just outside of his camp, just so we're closer.
I'm not sure that. I mean, I assume that Benji would have done that if it were at all possible. We might have to find another safe house.
Constantine, he raises an interesting point, and I wouldn't mention it if it wasn't for that there seems to be some sort of knowing things that they aren't told sort of situation. But with my group, back in Comorin, we those who are taking care of the ones that were the most important, they sort of had to do their own. And it's like every member of the resistance is better off not knowing where that important person is. So I think we may need to choose someone to take care of Gideon, was it? And it might be best, just at least to maintain some deniability here, if none of the rest of us know, so that they can't find out. If it's important that we protect him, which Sanvelheim wants him, I suppose it is. So you might want to consider having a little bit more solid of a plan there. Just then the whole troop of us tromps off somewhere and any one of us could be caught or a traitor or any of those sorts of things.
I think that's very sensible.
I mean, you seem to trust your friend a lot.
Well, Josh, do I happen to know in this neighborhood anywhere that would be a good bolt hole that I would know, since this is my stomping ground?
If you want to take time to find and establish one, I'll give you an investigation roll with advantage.
I'll do that. I think that's very sensible, and perhaps I and these skeleton friends of yours, they now will obey my commands if they're simple enough.
Can I command them to obey Vera?
Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, you can pass it on a little bit, but
Because-
it's really only going to be very simple things.
Yeah, well, essentially, like, help me pick him up and move him someplace.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can carry.
So perhaps I can come up with a place and take him there myself, and no one else needs to know about it. I'm sorry, of you won't know where he is.
Well, begging your pardon, but I really honestly think that it might be better if it's one of the others. Perhaps his brother, or someone who's not as likely to come into contact with Sanvelheim. If there is thoughts known or something.
That is also very sensible, and perhaps I am speaking unsensibly, but the only reason that I would want it to be me is I want to be there at the end.
We also have to discuss what we're going to do tomorrow. That's our opportunity. So yeah, are we on board with a surprise, suicide attack?
An attempt
That's a
at
good
surprise
point.
suicide.
Rosie, are you
Maybe-
intending to take one of his deals?
I'm intending to get close to him. So I will stand with the group. I've made that decision. I'm just saying now, if we're actually opposing him, which is still ridiculous, and yes, I do think it's suicidal. I think we should take the opportunity we have tomorrow to be in his house, right with him, all of us, and attack. See if we can kill it at its head. Yeah.
Do you think?
My problem there.
Yeah, the truce is off the minute he knows.
Talia has delivered the answer for all of us here, but you.
Oh, I see. What if I could?
Could we get in undetected somehow?
Well, that would be that's a good goal to try.
Could I come ahead and say, I have convinced the rest of the group, maybe not everyone, but a few people to change their minds.
How good are you at lying?
Good question. Okay.
And even failing that, you could like leave something there. Like even if we can't go as advanced as stab him in the face, but you could leave,
A listening device of some kind.
yeah, if such a thing exists,
Oh,
or
actually, I could leave my familiar.
you could what?
I might be able to leave my familiar. I think I can. It's not just a raven. I can conjure it in different forms. Perhaps the
That
mouse.
is
Or
As
intriguing.
long as you have an hour in some instance.
oh, it lasts an hour. That's right.
Oh, it
The
doesn't last
ritual
very
does
long.
It takes an hour to
to cast.
make, because I think your raven got killed at some point.
Oh. Well, we have until morning.
No, I don't think it did. Your familiar is around here. So yeah.
Or
Oh,
you can dismiss
but-
it without having to recast the spell. But it does take, I think, 10 gold worth of incense, if I remember right.
You can go dig around for that. That's intriguing to like go in with like a mouse in your pocket and then subtly drop it. We have a spy.
Sorry, I'm not going to join you and then just leave a mouse.
Totally.
I just came to say a big old fuck you, and here's a mouse and
But I mean, she could take a deal.
Yeah.
And not.
Oh, what if I took the second option? It's just like, look, I just don't want any part of it. Just leave me out of it. I won't attack you. You don't attack me. We're good.
contract right there and then, and the contract is binding. It's
The contract, is it
It's not
magically
like
binding?
mean with it where if I break it, it's going to impact me. It's not a vow.
as
Yeah,
far
it's
as
not true.
I mean,
it's not
we
written.
don't know for sure because we never broke our previous contract to Sanvelheim, so we don't know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the previous contract was legally dissolved.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, it stands to reason that if the Bremans have magic in the world that makes contracts binding, other people might too. Just throwing that out there.
True. But theirs
Um,
is connected with their religion, etc.
Karina, give me a history check.
Okay.
we just call Vreem. As much as we hate Vreem, we could call Vreem.
Only
Karina
friends.
looked for a Bremen, and there weren't any to be found when Shoji started summoning dead people.
Yeah.
19.
19. You would know from your father's business, that getting a freeman to swear somebody to the contract, to like the business contract, is highly sought after. But to your knowledge, it is not a common thing to have magically binding contracts.
Okay.
People don't have that ability. But if you can get a Vreeman willing to use their ability for you in that manner, which they're generally pretty loath to do, it's worth a lot of gold.
Okay.
And he doesn't like Remans too, so there's better chances.
He
I
says
think
he
it's
doesn't
just-
like Bremans.
Paper. Yeah. Or you might make a game time decision when you're there as like, does this feel like it's just paper or is he making me do a vow?
Yeah.
You know what?
But
That
if
is
he
what I
is,
like.
And at the same time, I might be able to offer some assistance. I could say I will only take the second contract if your son is spared from the red harvest. How about that? And it may
intriguing.
come back after it is breached, but it might buy him some time at least.
You could say that you're madly in love with Gideon and that he depends upon you and you depend upon him. And it could be a beautiful story.
Really,
I
Or I
let's go.
certain that
I could say something more believable, like I care about Vera and it pains me
Aw.
to see her in pain.
Yeah, but
I think that his
Angle.
wife would not be pleased with that particular lie.
Where's his wife?
I don't know where that one is. I haven't gone to find her.
Oh, you have not.
Then again, it's a mother-in-law thing. I never liked my son's wives.
It's not. Of course you did it.
None of them?
There's only two.
Right. So, what are we doing with Gideon?
If everybody's okay with this, I will roll that investigation to see if I recall a safe-ish spot that has access to water, etc. I will leave supplies here out of Jeeves if I've got any. And I'll
That is
come
the
back.
Empty jeeps of
Yeah, I
rat.
think we did.
So I will know where he is, and I will be coming back every day.
Give me an
It does.
investigation check with advantage.
Oh, don't fail me now, dice. This has been remarkably few dice rolls in this game, guys. I
Yeah,
like
it has. Josh, I have a question while she rolls. Can you just re-enumerate how many, because it's gotten confusing, how many people are here? Like, and Ren would actually be doing that sort of in character, like walking around, making sure we have everybody who's supposed to be here and no one has like suspiciously disappeared.
So it's the party plus Constantine and Damia. Atien remained with Benji.
Okay. And Oth also did?
I'm sorry, and yes.
Okay, so we have all of the people we are supposed to have and we're not missing anyone. Like that left the camp with us, they're all here right now.
Yeah,
Still.
everybody who left the camp with you is with you now.
Cool.
15.
All right, 15 investigation, and then I also need you to roll a d12.
Oh, great. Let me find my D12. 10.
10. Okay. Sticking to the alleyways as you have two skeletons
With the
in
shambling.
dresses carrying a red harvest infected person through the streets in
Yes.
broad daylight. To the alleyways, you manage to find one of your old bolt holes that only you and Gideon Senior knew about, and it is supplied with a few days' rations, some daggers, and a couple pouches with some money in it. And you can stash Gideon.
I'll stash him here. And for now, here's an intriguing question, which I would have asked before I left. Does Shoji, is she in communication with the Skellies? As in, can they tell her things?
No.
Okay.
That
Okay. So can I order the skeletons to stay here inside, out of sight, and be guards? And Show won't know where they are, but the spell is still running.
You've basically hidden him in a cellar that is built to look like it connects with a building, but it actually is no part of that building. And the kind of the doors in the ground, and there's a chain and padlock that you can use to secure it again. So you
All right.
just kind of dashed him in a small hole in the ground, essentially.
All right, I did that, and I'll return.
With two skeletons.
Yep, because Vera's life has gotten a lot weirder in the past year than she has than she's lived, you know.
All right. Okay. So you return to the group. And group, we're going to go ahead and close out here, but what is the plan? Are we going after Marianne, or are we going with Shoji's? I don't know how to describe the plan.
He's dropping a like literal bug in the in Sanvelheim's compound.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, taking the second contract, hoping to help Gideon, but also with the expectation of dying. Yeah.
Is that plan one?
I vote for that plan. Honestly, I don't know.
I would, if that's happening in the morning, I might tell Benji, like, we're gonna do this Hail Mary thing if Beth's willing to do it, if Show's willing to do it.
Who's Mary?
Yeah, not Marianne.
Okay. And then, so are you guys just going to spend the rest of today like training to level up,
Yeah.
and then tomorrow going with that plan?
Yeah. I'm gonna actually grab supplies and stay with Junior.
Yeah, and I need to level up, and I'm going to work on my song.
Do the El Dorado thing again.
I'd like to dismiss my raven and find a more concealable failure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll go ahead and end there then for tonight, and next week we will attempt to infiltrate Sanvelheim's manor.
It's all on you, Show.
Do it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We hope to see you again next week as we attempt to break in and lie to Sanvelheim's face and try to plant a bug or a mouse or some. In the meantime, join Becca and crew on Mondays as they do more Call of Cthulhu.
Which now includes me.
Horror
Just
on the
put it out
Orient
there.
Express. No, Jenny as well.
Yep.
We invite you to follow and subscribe and other things to our Twitch and YouTube channels, and visit our website at iconicproduction.wordpress.com, where you can follow us on social media, discover our lineup of podcasts, and support us on Patreon. Thank you all so much. Until next week, we hope you stay happy, healthy, and safe.